All right, the Google machine, the YouTube machine says that I'm live, so I guess I am. Hopefully my sound is working this time. Last time I had that weird bit where sound was not working. I can't tell, but the indicators I have at my disposal indicate to me that I am indeed broadcasting audio. Happy Tuesday. Yesterday was a travel day. Back from Studio B in Massachusetts. Kind of a pain in the butt drive, but I left at a bad time. So it's really, I'm not gonna say it's all my fault, but there's responsibility lays with me. I should have left at a different time, but I was trying to get some stuff done, and in so trying to get stuff done, I ended up leaving later than I wanted to leave, and so it really hit me as I was getting into. Well, I hit two things. I hit school, end of school day traffic, got caught behind a couple of school buses. And then that was kind of upstate or mid-state, I don't know, Hudson Valley. And then in the city, just got caught with rush hour nonsense. Here's just some cold, clear water for the working man. All right, I'm back. I'm still working on this. I didn't do a lot of work over the weekend on this. I was kind of hoping I might, but I didn't. I did do some, I think. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I might have put in that I didn't get to before, that I didn't talk about on the last time I did one of these. So let's see. We're in Wittrid's Hollow. I think I mentioned that. Inside the harrow. So a harrow, I think I took from a term that had kind of a tomb or tomb-like meaning, so I grabbed it. So that's why I call it that. I do like the word. I just need to remember, because a couple times I was hallow. I was getting either, no, it's not doing spell check. I must have just do it by accident. Though I do think I think I told it also to memorize the word so it wouldn't keep hitting me with the it's spelled wrong kind of thing. Okay, so this is where this wizard was supposed to be buried, only he's not there. And I've been trying to add more detail because this little, I don't know, mini adventure, I don't know what you call it. It really is a mystery. And so it really need to get as many clues out there, things to kind of that the players can hook onto and ask more questions or do actions. So I've been trying to really go through and kind of add more and more of these, and I don't say bolster because I'm still in the first draft. So, but as I've been going through these locations, and there aren't that many of them, I'm thinking, okay, I need to make sure I have a lot of clues. So in this particular location, we have inside the harrow. And I apologize if I'm repeating stuff that I already went through, but it is what it is. Inside the harrow, okay, it's a round stone chamber with an arched ceiling. St. Wichtrid's tomb is in the center, painted murals on the rear wall. And I think I was thinking maybe having something else on the rear wall, but now I'm forgetting. See if it comes back to me. The tomb, a massive stone sarcophagus, free of decoration or inscription. A close look at the lid shows a few cracks and chipped edges, one on one corner, and beneath it traces of stone dust. Opening the sarcophagus reveals a hidden stairway cut into the floor. So this is kind of the big, for this location, this is the big reveal. If you open the sarcophagus, not that the guy who runs the place, person who runs the place won't really let you. I'd have to figure out how to make this note make sense, but the party shouldn't just be coming in with a crowbar and I mean, they could, I guess, but they're going to make enemies of people, at least while they're in the act. So they're going to hope, the idea here, who knows how much it would, especially if I'm not running it, is that they'll have to talk to the custodian and get the custodian to spill the beans or show them evidence or some way to get them to be like, okay, you can open it, kind of thing. And I imagine a good party will do that, but I could see some other parties just like, screw that guy, shove him to the ground and do that, which I guess would be okay. In terms of getting the action going, probably would have repercussions in terms of how the priory, the people who are running this thing view the party, but that's okay too. In any case, you open the sarcophagus, it reveals a hidden stairway cut in the floor. That's a big deal because it's kind of a shortcut through a sort of a nasty area to get to the final area. The murals, this is, remember, on the rear wall, The life of the saint painted in bright colors. If examined closely, the faintest traces of an underlying bas-relief can be seen. The relief shows Wihtred leading a procession from Bordley through the wastes to a step pyramid. The saint drives a hunched figure bound by a collar and leash before him. Cleverly concealed secret door leads to a hidden scroll room. These are kind of two different things. There are two separate things here going on with the murals. One, if you get in really close and look at them, you could see that there's like another pattern in there that's not the painting, but it's kind of carved carved like a bas-relief. It's sort of raised off. Yeah, I think with the bas-relief, it's raised off as opposed to carved in. I don't know if there's a name besides a carving for something that's carved in, but in any case, it's raised just ever so slightly off. Maybe it's been shaved down specifically to hide it, but you can kind of see it. And once you sort of see it, you put it together, and of course, you could narrate this however you want to. It's, oh gosh, it's showing kind of something different. It's not showing... It's showing this thing and the pyramid, which I need to put more clues about the pyramid. It's showing a pyramid. It's showing them going to this pyramid. And then there's this scroll room, which I kind of put in. It's a sort of a late addition. This little hidden scroll room that's kind of shows the scroll room is there. The purpose of the scroll room is it's where the real story is. That there were records that were kept of what really happened. And maybe at some point those records were open and they meant it to be communicated, but at some point they thought, you know what, we're going to put these away. We're not going to destroy them because we might need them someday. And it is the real story, but we're going to put them away. So they were stashed away in this scroll. There might be a better place for it than here, but the idea here is that one, it's something that gives, I think by making it a secret behind a secret door, first of all, you get to trigger, if you're running the kind of game like BX where some folks get to roll for secret doors or you roll for them when they enter a room, this is a way. It's interesting because I think in a way I'm using it to kind of maybe jumpstart with an extra little clue thing of like, hey, if you get lucky, because I guess it's a 1 in 6 chance or a 2 in 6 chance. I don't know. So it's not great odds, but if you have an elf or somebody else, I don't know, hey, you might roll and boo-boo, like get that. And suddenly you have this thing, this kind of clue, which is a big one in a way for the secret door. I'm not sure what other means there would be, but it might be something where somebody asks, hey, are there any, I want to search the walls. If they're in a situation where the custodian's not around and they're in there, I'm not sure how that will be because the custodian's not going to want to leave people alone in there, especially at this point. But that's another thing. If they were able to sort of get the custodian out and then do some, that might be something they want to do. So it's another mechanism for getting some of this extra information. So now we have the custodian whose name is Godwin, which I think I mentioned in the last stream, but whatever. If questioned, they're going to reveal some stuff about the boy who's missing and the acolyte who has gotten a screw loose. And I do have a note here. So unless they're convinced or forced, they're not going to allow folks to open their sarcophagus and they're not going to reveal the hidden scroll room. They're just not going to do it, which makes sense. The whole fact is you've hidden them, not so that you tell everybody who shows up, oh, here's the hidden scroll room, and you're not going to open the sarcophagus. I don't know if he knows the sarcophagus has that hidden stairwell in there. I think that might be a mystery even to him, that he hasn't opened it up, because that's to open up. I guess it's a big, not a leap of faith, that's the right thing, but it's, you're really going, like, their whole thing here is venerating this figure. And then if they just open the figures to him just kind of nonchalantly, I don't think that would match. That would be sacrilege, basically. But I think you might be able to convince them that, hey, maybe the bad acolyte did something, because I did try to leave some clues of, if you check out the sarcophagus, you see it's been monkeyed with, so maybe he did something, and then maybe you can get him to open it, and then if they open it, then they'll see. If they have either uncovered the scroll room or the bas-relief, and I think so. Let's see. I need to add something in there. So if the sarcophagus is opened, the scroll room is uncovered, or the bas-relief revealed. So if you can do these things, one of them, just one of them, then Godwin will kind of cop to perpetrating the false legend, because it'll be kind of a fait accompli, to use that phrase. You've opened the sarcophagus, nothing's there. That's not going to shock him particularly, though. I still don't think, like, he knows the real story, but it doesn't mean he's going to want to open the sarcophagus. It's like I said, it's like that big kind of leap. And then, but if you kind of figured, he'll tell you. So then if you do one of those three things, of course you could do more than one of them, but if the party does one of those three things, then he will, assuming he's there when you're doing it or becomes aware, then he'll tell the true story. So where I was stopped was the true story, which I have here, which I need to fill out. And the true story, it's not going to be super detailed. So I don't know what I say, the true story of the wizard Witrid proceeds as the known tales until the close of the, I got to come up with a name for this demon war. Of the demon, I'm just going to put a in caps so I maybe remember to change it, to update it. The true story of the wizard Witrid. Did I put a period? What is that? Why are you? Oh, it's, yeah, you know what? I'm going to tell it to learn that spelling. Yeah, learn that spelling. There you go. Okay, the true story of the wizard Witrid proceeds as the known tales until the close of the demon war. Okay. At the end of the last battle, the let's see, Witrid and their allies had taken, I need to find a name for the demon too, demon captive. Realizing that they could not permanently destroy the demon, they determined instead to, to imprison it. Doing this required a powerful and willful host Witrid sacrificed himself so that the demon could be trapped within a, the location of the demon's prison is a pyramid hidden within the wastes. I don't know if I have a name for the waste, but I don't know if I need another name. So in any case, the true story of the wizard Witrid proceeds as the known tales until the close of the demon war. At the end of the last battle, Witrid and their allies had taken the demon captive, realizing that they could not permanently destroy the demon. They determined instead to imprison it. Doing this required a powerful and willful host. Witrid sacrificed himself so the demon could be trapped first in their body and then in a, let's see, Witrid sacrificed himself so that the demon could be trapped first, and severed from their, let's see, what demonic, I want to use demonic. What's another infernal power? I'll have to rewrite this at some point. So the true story of the Wizard Richard proceeds as the known tales until the close of the Demon War. At the end of the last battle, Richard and their allies had taken the demon captive. Realizing that they could not permanently destroy the demon, they determined instead to imprison it. Doing this required a powerful and willful host. Richard sacrificed himself so that the demon could be trapped and severed from their infernal power. The location of the demon's prison is a pyramid hidden within the wastes. Yeah, it sounds a little clunky to me, but I just needed to get something out. So that's out. Now I'm going to zoom out. So I'm not actually doing terribly on space, but I might need to move things around because this format, and I'm not 100% sold on it yet. Is I think this is and I found this template online. There's Betty the cat. Hi, Betty. It's an A5, I think, trifold. So if you can see here, there's basically 3 panels. And 3 panels, this would print on one. I don't know if this is supposed to be one sheet that would fold in half and then fold, or in any case, then you kind of fold it. So this is the cover. I think this ends up being the back when it's all folded. This ends up being that flap that's inside the cover. And then here's when you unfold it and you're looking at the inside, these are the 3 things. So I don't think I'm doing too poorly on space. The things now, I do have a couple things left to do. One of which is, so basically, I guess there are 3 stages to this adventure. First stage is the investigation, which is talking about here. This I might move because maybe it makes sense to do on the back cover where it's kind of, I don't know, more informative. I'm not sure exactly. Essentially, step 1, investigate the mystery. Right? And so that's all we have this here. Suppose I have a sneeze coming on, but it's not coming all the way. Wait for it. Okay, excuse me, there it goes. All right, investigate the mystery, which I think is, again, there might be some addition of things, but for the moment, we're going to call that done. Then there's a second part, which is now going to be what we're going to talk about now, which is getting to the pyramid. That would be the second thing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make them separate. I don't know if I'm really structuring my content the most efficiently in terms of publisher. I'm kind of self-taught off and on over the years of using first Quark Express, then InDesign, and then this. So I don't have any illusions that I do things the way they mostly should be done, but this is the way I'm doing it. So I like to keep, for the most part, I like to keep sections of text in sort of linked text boxes, or these text, what do they call them? Yeah, I guess text boxes that flow together. So this all flows together. But when I'm doing something new, I kind of like to keep it separate that way. Yeah, if I add stuff to this will go, but it won't start chunking. I don't know. I just find it a little bit easier. I'm going to put this here for right now, though. I might have to move it. And this is where it's like I'd like to have things kind of on a single. See, because like these regions kind of roll over a little bit, and then this rolls over. And I'm thinking I might need to. We'll see if I can get what I need into this one box, which seems to be, it would be a little bit of it'll be a task. Then we'll see. But anyway, I'm just gonna keep these separate right here. So I think heading 2 is right. What's that? Investigating is heading 2. So this will also be heading 2. So this will be. No, I hate when it does that. Yeah, clear character styles. I'm not, get the italics off, man. I'm not trying to italicize anything. Not caught. Journey to the pyramid. Oh, all right. Journeying to the pyramid. And this is where I might need to do a couple of little mini maps. So let's just to sort of reset things. Let's go to the big board. Let's go to the map. So looking at the map here, we've got essentially the party's going to start here. And I'm going to put some notes about, at least if I have room, about travel times, because there's a road, which is this dotted line. The road can take you. This is really here. I have a whole, I kind of give a pretty good region, but this area up here doesn't. These two areas here and this area up here, really everything, the entire adventure takes place in kind of this, in a thing here. You don't need to go to Steerfield. You don't need to go to Oxthorpe. You don't need to go past Bordley. You don't need to go to Mondun or Edhurst or any of those places. You start at Oxwine Castle. You're given your marching orders, or you've accepted it. I kind of start with you've taken it, but whatever. You're given that, and you've basically given, you have essentially 3 locations that will hopefully give you the clues you need to figure out what's going on. Because at the start, who the victims are, 2 people who were murdered, and then the kid that's missing, and the leading suspect, which is this acolyte. And you also know that the murder happened in Beaufort, and the acolyte is from Bordley. So at the start, you don't really have any knowledge of this because you don't need it. It's not important, but you're going to get to these 2 places. So there's some clues here. You're talking to people, you can look at stuff, and then, your clues here. So I imagine, of course I can't say for sure, I imagine that in some order, and because this is the way the map is, it makes the most sense to go to Beaufort and then check it out, and then go to the Bordley, and then the Priory, and then the Hallow, the Harrow, excuse me, not Hallow. See, I did it again. It makes sense that you would do that just in terms of travel times, but who knows if the party will do that. In either case, or in any case, the idea was by the time you visited all these things, you now know there's a pyramid here, and that is where things are headed. So there is so this is all kind of broken lands. I don't know if these icons or these symbols really communicate it, but this is all kind of broken lands with ravines and things. There's that stairs going down leads to some kind of the bottom of a canyon or one of these chasms that you can follow to get to the pyramid. And it's the best if you can do it, because you'll be below the befogging. You'll be below the what do we call it? The choleric. What do they call it? The choleric mists? I don't know. I have a name for it. I'll look it up in a second. You're below this stuff. So that is your kind of number 1. But you don't have to. You don't have to. If you don't find the sarcophagus, but you do figure out, and I think I'll have to put some more clues, just tying things together, because you're going to find these things, but I don't know if I've done a good enough job putting enough clues so that you know that that's where the acolyte went. But you can travel over through the waste to get there, but it's just a bad deal. You don't want to do that if you can avoid it, but you can. But I think I might need a map of at least, no, maybe I don't, because there's the canyon's gonna, or the bottom of the crevasse or whatever it is. I don't think it's gonna, because here really the story here is not about getting lost. So I think there's some kind of, this will go drill through some rock and some stairs and stuff, and end up in this crack that's going to run. And, it'll be one of these things that's impossible, kind of really, you can't really see it, but it sort of takes you through there. So I'm thinking maybe I don't, because I was going back for, do I need a map? Do I need to have something? I don't know. Just the nature of this, again, the nature of this particular story is not about the navigational aspects. So I don't mind if this crevasse is pretty much a straight shot, or not a straight shot, but it's just kind of one way up too. So let me just make a note. There are two ways to get to the pyramid. The safest and most direct way is through the hidden passage in. Who's bugging me on? I got some flashing on. I hate all the flashing and stuff that Discord does, because it's like, I don't, and then it doesn't tell you. Like, something's flashing, but then you're not telling me anything. So how am I supposed to know it's flashing? You just want me to open you up and then do nothing. Okay. There are two ways to get to the pyramid. The safest and most direct way is through the hidden passage. The hidden, maybe staircase in Wichtred's tomb. See Wichtred's harrow. All right. Maybe I'll put the bold. Bold. And then italicize. Okay, there are two ways to get to the pyramid. The safest, most direct way is through the hidden staircase in Wichtred's tomb. See Wichtred's harrow. Okay, I think that would be enough. Why are you? I thought I had. Oh, is Wichtred's? I thought I had learned the spelling for that. Why are you doing that? For each thing, I have to. The spelling doesn't carry over from. That's weird. All right. The second way to traverse maybe this might not take a whole bunch of space. Let me see. Let's see. What did I call it? The bilious, or not choleric, the bilious wastes. All right, so you can go through the staircase, or you can traverse the bilious wastes. I do have notes about the bilious wastes. Where is it? Here we go. The choleric fumes. So we've got that. So that is covered. And I don't actually need anything else here, because we're leaning on my ratings here that will pretty much tell you everything you need. Well, the wilderness part. We've got the choleric fumes, befogging, and we have the wandering creatures, which are oil beetles, skeletons, and rarely a zombie ogre. You really don't want to do that. You don't really want to do that. So, okay, so I guess I'm just going to bold that. I'm going to take that off right now. I'm just trying to keep it slim and trim. All right, bilious waste. So now we got the. Wonder if you could light oil beetles on fire. Well, I know there's. Let me see if I get out my. Let's see. I got too much stuff in here. If we go, can I pull this out? Yes, I can. Excellent. All right. So if we look. Out of curiosity, I think they're in the first. Yeah, this is This is basic. I want to say they're in the. Let's see. There's beetles, oil beetles. Oil beetles are 3-foot long giant, and I might rewrite these 3-foot long giant beetles that sometimes burrow underground. When attacked, they will squirt an oily fluid at one of their attackers. If the oil hits, it will raise painful blisters, causing the victim to fight with a penalty of -2 on his or her to hit rolls until a cure light wound spell. Okay, blah, blah, blah. If the spell is used to cure blisters, it will not also cure points of damage. Oil beetles can also attack with their mandibles, aka horned jaws, or parenthetically horned jaws. So it doesn't say. It might not be that kind of oil, which I'm fine with, because really the theme here is not fire so much as it is the choleric. So I might actually change these to be this kind of like that the stuff that they're spewing is the same thing as you're getting, but they're not in the beetles are not in the a concern in if you take the hidden staircase. Maybe I will put a note here. What are we calling it? C regions for details. Yeah, I got to take off the bold. Let's get rid of the bold. And we'll just italicize that for now. 2 ways to get to pyramid. The first, let's say the safest and most direct way is through the hidden staircase in Witchard's tomb. The second way is to traverse the bilious waste. See regions for details. I think that's good. And then, so now we've got, all right, so the hidden. So I guess it is possible because I really don't have that much to say. The staircase is steep and leads downwards for a long. I'm not. The thing is, so here's what I'm. So I'm writing this hidden staircase. The distances are not important to me. I don't really. I guess I don't really care about it. Oops. Let me get that's search engine stuff. That's for different, something very different. Here we go. That was what I was looking for. For a long time before I'm the distances I don't care about. I don't care about this particular. So I'm not going to set out how many feet and how many. I don't care. Once you get into maybe the canyon, I'll talk about the miles that the canyon runs before it kind of ascends to the base of the pyramid. That's probably about it. The thing is here with this is nice is that there's no monsters down here. You get into this, you bypass the fumes, you bypass the creatures. And you basically get to the base of the pyramid. Though there are creatures at the base of the pyramid, but that's a pretty good shortcut, if I do say so myself. The staircase is steep and leads downward a long time before flattening, leveling out to a straight, roughly hewn passage. Drills through. Okay, the staircase is steep and leads downward for a long time. Staircase steep, leads downward for a long time before leveling. Is that not how you spell leveling? I guess not. 1 L, not 2. Leveling out into a straight, roughly hewn passage. Passage extends for a for a for maybe a mile. Passage extends for a mile or more till it emerges into the base, to the floor of a narrow crevasse. All right. So this is what I wanted to get out of this. So I have this thing called choleric chimneys. So I just want to put, I'm not sure where I'll put the note in there. Choleric chimneys. Choleric chimneys. Choleric chimneys. The staircase is steep and leads downwards for a long time. I don't know. I don't like that. But whatever. We'll keep it for now. I don't want to get caught up in the trying to come up with the perfect turn of phrase for the moment. No stairs mimics. No stairs mimics. Not cleric. Choleric, not cleric. The staircase is steep and leads downwards for a long time before leveling out into a straight, roughly-hewn passage. The passage extends for a mile or more until it emerges into the floor of a narrow crevasse. Okay. All right. Yeah. Crevasse. At no point is the let's see, no wider than 2 men across. Crevasse winds erratically from the mouth of the passage. Okay, the crevasse no wider than 2 men across. Let's see. At no point wider. At no point wider than 2 men across, it winds erratically from the mouth of the passage for I don't know how many miles we think. So we know we're doing 3-mile hexes. So you got to pass through one of these to get here, but we know that passing, depending on where this hits, passing from one face to another face, one face to the opposite face, is 3 miles, but this is not going in a straight direction. Should I let the dice decide how erratic? Let's see. So we got 8 miles. Croco asks, any special mechanism to detect the hidden staircase? No. The only special mechanism is checking and then either forcing or convincing the custodian to let you open it. If you check the if you check out the sarcophagus lid, and I can go back and look at it, but if you check the sarcophagus lid, you'll see that it's got signs. I can never be sure what someone's going to take away, but for 8 miles, sometimes. So here, if we go back to this, let's see. So okay, the tomb, right? So if you check out the tomb, it's a massive stone sarcophagus, free of decoration or inscription. Close look at the lid shows a few cracks and chipped edges on one corner, and beneath it, traces of stone dust. I am hoping that will trigger people to say, hey, somebody opened this thing up. However, I cannot say for certain that that's what will happen, but that's what I have so far. I don't know. I don't think the custodian's not going to be aware of it. I don't think any of the people are really going to be aware of it because it's just not something you would mess with. You don't open the thing up. He knows that the wizard's not inside, but he doesn't know what's in there. Maybe the might be some other relic or something. So I don't think he knows that there's a passage through there. Because part of me thinks that if they've gone through the trouble to cover up the myth, if they had checked out the sarcophagus and done that, then they might have sealed the tunnel. Was my thinking. Given the way it's kind of set up, that they've decided to hide the truth. So it makes more sense to me that it's still an object of veneration. It's still something that they look after, so that even though they know that the wizard's not in it, that it's not, it still kind of has a holiness to it. It is still, a profound thing for them. This monument, it's part of the monument. So they're not gonna monkey with it. So I don't think he's messed with it, but I think that the idea is that so you show up. Okay, so here's the idea. So you show up at the Harrow. How much you know at that point, unknown. But you start looking around, and you discover the bas relief that's kind of hidden in the mural. And I don't know if mural's the right word, but I think so, right? It's painted on, that's a mural. You do something, and then you get the custodian to spill. Because once you discover one of those things, the guy will, and you confront the custodian with it, they'll spill the beans. Say, okay, you're right. Not like that, but you got me. But, there is a hidden history. Let me tell you what it is. And he tells you the story about the wizard going to the pyramid with the demon and having to sacrifice his body to help trap the demon, that kind of thing. I think at that point, if you then and you then show the evidence that the tomb has been monkeyed with, that they haven't been able to find anybody, and whatever, then he opened it. I can even really just say something like, hey, if the acolyte was here and got something out of there or not, like, we kind of want to know, like, what were they doing, and we're only going to know if we kind of take a look. Right? We're going to look. If we're going to, we kind of need to see, like, what were they doing? What were they looking for? Maybe because maybe there's writing in there because there's nothing on the outside, so maybe there's something inside. There might be a clue. We need to do it. Then you open up. That's the thought behind it. Whether it ultimately is enough, unknown. But that's the idea that I've got going on. We'll see. We'll see about only through kind of playing and just kind of doing it will we figure out. But that's the idea. Okay. So the crevasse, at no point wider than 2 men across, it winds erratically from the mouth of the passage for 8 miles, sometimes folding back on itself. Other times rapidly maybe rapidly, abruptly changing direction. Eventually it let's see. What's the word? Like it becomes more shallow. The floor rises the ground rises, the walls of the crevasse walls, I don't know, the rock walls diminish, and diminish. Okay, the crevasse at no point wider than 2 men across. It winds erratically from the mouth of the passage for 8 miles, sometimes folding back on itself, other times abruptly. I don't think I need a comma there. Other times, sometimes folding back on itself, other times abruptly changing direction. Eventually, the ground rises, the rock walls diminish, and the what is an end of a crevasse called? I'll say, Krako says, it's pretty hard to tell how much detail to put in the text without it giving secrets away right away. I guess you can give the detail if the object is searched more closely. Yeah, you can. And I know, and it's going to be up to a GM to look at it and say, do I need to give more? Right. Some of this is the context, how is the party not integrate? How is the party investigating? What kind of questions are they asking? What, right? To Krako's point, you can't give everything. At some point, you just have to say, what I'm trying to do is give things that, even if I just say, oh, it gives clues that it's been opened. You could say that, and maybe I should say that. But I also think that doesn't necessarily help the GM in the moment with how to describe it. Just like, oh, their clues has been opened. Maybe they have ideas of what that would be. Maybe they don't. In this case, and I think it's a little bit more interesting to kind of leave it be like, oh, I wonder what that is. But I kind of think that folks will get the picture. The GM will get the picture. If I have room, maybe I'll put a thing about here's what the acolyte, whatever, are doing. We'll see. Like I said, we'll see how much I've got left. If I've got space, for that. But we don't know. Okay, at no point wider than 2 men across, it winds erratically from the mouth of the passage for 8 miles, sometimes folding back on itself, other times abruptly changing direction. Eventually, the ground rises, the rock falls diminish, and what is the end? What is one end of a rock fall, or is a crevasse called? What would it be? What would it be? I'm just gonna. Nah. Oh, the end's the terminus? All right. Ends or terminus? Terminus. All right. And then, let's see. Sometimes folding back on itself, other times abruptly changing direction. Eventually, the ground rises, the rock falls diminish. And it terminates at the base of the pyramid. I probably need to find a better word for pyramid. Okay, so, yep. Well, there are no wandering creatures within the crevasse. Creatures nor what do I call it? I got a name for it. Caloric fumes. Nor do fumes nor any effects of which do not. Maybe I'll put it a different way. There are no wandering creatures, nor any caloric fumes, their effects within the crevasse. Okay, so no, I'm just going to bold that. I was going to put the cleric chimneys as part of the crevasse. Not that you would be affected by them, but that's where the fumes are kind of coming up. Then I also say it's pretty narrow. Maybe I'll get rid of that. Runs faster 8 miles. This one is okay at the ground. For 8 miles. The floor is littered with choleric chimneys. But the okay. So the floor is, okay, let me see. It's a crevasse. It winds erratically from the mouth of the passage for 8 miles, sometimes folding back in itself, other times abruptly changing direction. The floor is littered with choleric chimneys. But the height of the chimneys, let's see. Okay, the floor is littered with choleric chimneys. Eventually, the ground rises, the rock walls diminish, and it terminates at the base of the pyramid. There are no wandering creatures nor any choleric fumes or their effects within the crevasse. Choleric chimneys, cone-shaped rock formations, 6 to 8 feet tall. Maybe I'll change it 8 to 10 just to be safe. 8 to 10 feet tall. 8 to 10 feet tall that encase vents from which billow thick, acrid clouds of orange-yellow smoke. I'm guessing I'm going to have to. Maybe I'll, instead of putting this here, okay. I'll make a parenthetical. Let's make sure I'm not bolded. No fumes in the floor at ground level as the, what do I call it? What do I keep calling it? Why do I keep forgetting what it's called? As the choleric fumes rise. As the fumes rise. See below. Okay. Crevasse, it winds erratically from the mouth of the passage for 8 miles, sometimes folding back on itself, other times abruptly changing direction. The floor is littered with choleric chimneys. There are no effects at ground level as the choleric fumes rise. See below. Eventually, the ground rises. Eventually the ground. What is the floor of a crevasse? Is there another name for that? bottom, base. Eventually what's another word for rises? Sometimes for rise, what do we got? For rise, we've got increase, climb. Yeah, climbs might be one. Climbs, not swells. As an ascent. Inclines, uprise, yeah, ascends, climbs is good. Climbs is good. Croco wants to know if there are sanguine, phlegmatic, and melancholic chimneys. Not here. So just if you missed the origin story, Croco, the original. So what I did, how this originated. Take a sip of water here. Was I had generated a map with hexcrawl stuff in Worldographer, in the new one, Worldographer 2025. And one of these features that we got that was randomly generated was like a fog, but it was I think they literally call it a urine yellow fog. So I thought to myself, urine yellow, well, let me just, whatever. So I was like, all right, let me change that. Then I took that area and I decided to kind of try to make this thing out of it because I got inspired a little bit. And so choleric came from yellow because I think the other choleric is the other thing for that is yellow bile. I think it's in the humors thing. Your choleric humor is connected to your yellow bile. So that's how you get bilious. And so this kind of yellow bile. So I got to keep the yellow, kind of keeping the cholera thing. So that's kind of where that comes from. There could totally be sanguine, phlegmatic, and melancholic chimneys at some point. So that's the sort of the inspiration, hence the orange yellow smoke and whatnot. So I'm just kind of keeping with that theme, yellow bile, so cholera, the yellow, the bilious waste. That's kind of where that comes from. Eventually, the ground climbs. Okay, so let's read this one more time. The crevasse, it winds erratically from the mouth of the passage for 8 miles, sometimes folding back on itself, other times abruptly changing direction. The floor, maybe I should put this in leagues. Let's do that, because I'm going to use leagues. So 3 leagues would be 9 miles, so let's just do that. For 3 leagues. For, I don't know, but roughly, give or take, it winds erratically from the mouth of the passage for roughly, oh yeah, does this have... for half a league, more or less. Less. All right, the crevasse, it winds erratically from the mouth of the passage for roughly 3 leagues, sometimes folding back on itself, other times abruptly changing direction. Let's see, changing direction. The floor is littered with choleric chimneys. There are no effects at ground level as the choleric fumes rise. See below, let's see. Eventually, the ground climbs, the rock walls diminish, and it terminates at the base of the pyramid. There are no wandering creatures. I don't need order effects within the crevasse. Okay. I need to clean that up slightly. There, okay. As the chimneys are more than a man high, and there are no effects at ground level as the chimneys are more than a man high and the cleric fumes rise. See below. Eventually, the ground climbs, the rock walls diminish, and it terminates at the base of the pyramid. There are no wandering creatures within the crevasse. Okay. Yeah, it's a different kind of thing. I mean, I haven't really looked. I'm curious. I was thinking about cholera. Actually, I was looking at something, and they had a certain percent chance you catch cholera. But in this case, and in choleric, it's so keeping in mind, right? These titles are not known to the players. They're not anything that creatures are saying. No one's calling it the choleric whatever. That's just the naming. It's really for the GMs, right? The bilious wastes. I think bilious because bile, but bilious also it means. I think it has to do. Let me see if I type it in. Bilious. The meaning of bilious is so relating to a yellow or greenish fluid, marked by or suffering from a liver dysfunction. Let's see. But I'm kind of playing with what's the word for something not a synonym, but it has a similar sound to kind of billowing, bilious. So, it also has a meaning of sickeningly unpleasant, which also comes in there. So, and also sort of an ill-natured disposition, which I think comes. So there's a few things I'm playing with here. But that one, even then, I'm not even sure that they call it the bilious waste, but they might. I might, So, I was going to look and see. Well, let's see. Let's see. What are the symptoms and effects of cholera? So what do we get from cholera? Maybe there's something we can get some inspiration here. All right, cholera is an acute diarrheal illness caused by infection with the bacterium Vibrio cholerae. While many infected individuals experience mild symptoms or none at all, a subset can develop severe and rapidly progressing illness. The main symptoms and signs include, all right, so watery diarrhea, I probably don't want to get involved with that in the game. Doesn't sound, I'm not sure. So but we have vomiting, got a little potential. Leg cramping, also have potential. Dehydration, which has a whole bunch of sub symptoms, intense thirst, dry mouth, sunken eyes, a little no urination, don't care about that. Rapid heart rate, I don't know if I'd mess with that part, but fatigue and weakness is definitely good. And then irritability, kind of hard. I don't want to push people. It's fine to. I don't have a problem necessarily with putting a little role playing kind of stuff out there, but might not have that as the beginning. But we could probably look at the vomiting maybe and the leg cramping, which also has that fatigue and just maybe generally fatigue and weakness. Could be something that might be fun. I'm going to leave kind of what I have right now because what do I have? Well, let me see. What did I put for it before I just speak so rashly? So I have, I have the befogging. They're surprised on a 3 and 6 and they can't see the pyramid. I like the idea that they can't see the pyramid. But maybe I could do. The thing is, I remember, what I'm remembering now, I did look at some of this and I remember thinking I didn't want to do movement because I didn't want it to be a death knell. Because there are encounters in the wastes. And given that I think this is more or less a low party adventure, maybe it isn't. I mean, it doesn't matter. I think most of the choices don't really have to do with fighting. So you might be able to. It's. I didn't want it to be that everybody who fails now suddenly your movement is. You could just end up in that's a downward spiral. Oh, I failed my save. Now I can't move, or I can only move half, and then we can only move half. Now we're getting more encounters, and it's just and it's like I can't. Right, I can't. It can be tough, and I don't want to necessarily. I want it to be tough. In other words, I don't mind that it's dangerous, but I don't know that I want to have people be stuck there. The vomiting is interesting, just generally. The thirst could be an interesting one, but I think maybe the leg cramps, irritability might be fun. I'm not sure how we would do it. Oh, actually, I do know. I haven't actually. The irritability might be but it could be kind of dangerous. I was thinking if the irritability one is you have to make a save, otherwise you go attacking the first thing you see. But it also means that's probably bad. Probably about as much as fun as it could be. Also bad because things are dangerous out there, and yeah, that probably means that you're gonna get killed. So I think right now I'll leave it, but it's a good call out or reminder because like I said, I looked at it and I'm like, oh yeah, this stuff's good, and I thought it could be too much of a killer. I don't want to literally just give them cholera because diseases are actually kind of hard to cure. Cure disease is not, I forget what level you get cure disease, but it's not like you get cure disease early on. Let's see, what spell level is cure disease? I don't think it's that low. Cure disease is a 3rd level cleric spell, which means that clerics don't actually get that spell until when? Where are our tables? Okay, so clerics will get 3rd level spells at 8th level. And I don't have any 8th level, even 8th level NPCs in the mix. So I wanted to, yeah. So because like I said, and I've gone through some of this before. I just kind of forgotten about it, but yeah. So like that's why I have it. Well, I kind of I actually used the oil beetles as a call because the oil beetles you can cure it, but you have to spend a cure. And I don't think Godwin has it, but I could probably give it to them. Maybe they do. Somewhere up here, I've got a list of characters, and let's see. The Prior has Cure Light Wounds. He's only 3. The Prior is only a 3rd level cleric. I think I need to add the other guy in there. He's maybe a 2nd level cleric. So maybe you have a couple of Cure Light Wounds you can use. Otherwise, you have to rest for 24 hours. So it becomes kind of annoying, but you could probably get out. The thing is that you can't see the pyramid when you're infected by it. And maybe I'll get rid of that because I don't know how to communicate that. I'd have to think about, well, how do I communicate that to the party that you don't want to get? But, we'll see. Parker says, reminds me that I need to take a proper look at chase pursuit mechanics from BX or AD since armor restricts movement so much. I wonder how high the chances if you have fighters in the party. Might be cheaper to hire a paladin. Those can also cure diseases. Well, there's no paladins in BX, so it's going to depend on what system you're using. And I don't know when. I'm pretty sure I have the player's handbook somewhere. Do I have it open right now in one of these things? Hold on. Where's the other one? Let's see. Do I have it open? Let's see. I do. Actually, I happen to have player's handbook. So player's handbook, we happen to play with an AD&D fighter, the paladin. So paladin character, they get it from first levels. I know they get, let's see. The benefits of a paladin are, all right, I'll zoom in here. Detect evil at 60 feet. That's fine. Make all saving. Okay, immunity to alpha. That's great for them. Lay on hands. Cure wounds. So once per week they could cure a disease. So paladin, if you had a paladin, once per week they could cure a disease. And only at level 6 did they get 2. So either you're hiring multiple paladins, and of course I'm assuming there are no paladins game, but if you had paladins, you could, but you're going to be kind of limited. Even that's going to be pretty limited unless there's a bunch of paladins running around. So you only get it once a week. So 8th level or once a week if you happen to have a paladin or paladin type. And it's not a bad question, Kralko, because there are people play OSC advanced, and I'm certainly not anti having those classes available. But even then, it's not cure disease having to wait. Let's say you have a party of 5 and 2 or 3 people miss their saves. So then you're going to have to wait 2 or 3 weeks basically of downtime for those diseases to cure. It's maybe not how I would want to go. it just could be tough. And I don't want to minimize it. The other, you flip the other side and you think, oh, and then it just becomes not really much of an issue because everyone's doing it. So in this case, the NPCs, which I think makes sense too, in terms of you ask the question, well, why haven't some of these people done some of these things? Well, some of it is they just don't know. The other thing is there's not high level. Let's see, the Lord Oxwine, Lothric, he's 4th level. So he's hit hero level. He's 4th level. Dunstan, who's the prior, he's 3rd level. The adept who went wrong is the 2nd level. The kid is just a normal human. And then, like I said, I'll put in the Godwin, who's probably a 2nd level also. So they're low level too. They are not really better equipped to do this than the players are. And they have their beliefs and things that might be trapping them into what they're doing. Journey to the Pyramid. Okay, so cool. I think that's really all I need for this part of it. Now just the pyramid. But I got to run because it's getting close to dinner time. My daughter's going to be showing up. So we'll call it here, and then we'll probably continue on with this tomorrow. We'll see. I want to try to get done a video for the main channel. So we'll see how that goes. Other than that, folks, have a great rest of your day, night, whenever you end up watching or listening to this. Game on, everybody. And I will talk to you later. Bye now.